This week on Supercars Torque, McLaughlin, Percat and LeBrocq get to win. Over the weekend, we got to see 3 different winners, and none of them were from Triple Eight. Scott McLaughlin took the spoils on Saturday afternoon / early evening in the night race, and Nick Percat took what is now his customary Sunday afternoon win, and then we got to see Jack LeBrocq take the first Tickford win of 2020. I'm as surprised as anyone. I figured Cam Waters and Will Davison would be the ones taking the Tickford wins this year. Possibly having a Holdsworth sneak one in. Did not think LeBrocq was going to be the man to take the first win. And James Courtney actually seemed like the second most impressive from that team over the weekend. Speaking of James Courtney, his co-driver has been announced for the endurance race for this year. Still fingers crossed there will be 2. With what's happening in Melbourne now, I don't think we're going to have a round at Sandown this year. It's not looking likely, so chances are probably not going to have any more than 1 endurance race this year. But then again, who knows? See what's happening. It's a day by day prospect at the moment. So anyway, a couple of weeks ago, Josh Black asked me who I thought was going to be the co-driver lineup at Tickford, and I said, pretty much Jack Perkins is going to be with Courtney, and the question mark is whether Alex Premer is going to, be able to make it across, and I predicted wrong. Yet even sometimes I do get it wrong. Brock Feeney is stepping up to the plate. He had a good Super 2 race, or race or 2 over the weekend. He's doing okay. Boost sponsorship popped up on his car. He's... On one hand, I'm a little bit surprised because he hasn't got that much experience, moving up pretty quick in that. But if you're going to do it, this year's probably the year. I thought that, Jack Perkins in with Courtney there. I nearly said Coulthard. Jack Perkins in there with James Courtney. I thought, they could be a fair shot. And you've also got Will Davison available. It's a big call to go with someone like Brock Feeney, but it gives him experience. This is what, Adderton's been saying for quite a while. He wants that kind of youth edginess. Well, you've got the edginess with Courtney. You've got the youth with Brock Feeney. Could be a good move. In other news this week, it's been announced that Darwin will be hosting a double header, August 8th and 9th and 15 and 16. So all the teams are going to Queensland at the moment, or they're probably already there, and they're going to quarantine themselves for 14 days in Queensland, so then they can pop across to Darwin for a couple of weeks. And then straight after that, they'll head back to Queensland for Townsville, making it a long stay away for the Victorian teams. You've got Tickford, they're going to base themselves at SeaWorld. Nice. Walkinshaw Andretti United, they're going to go at Movie World with the stunt show there that Warren Luff's a part of. No surprises. They've got good connections there with Warren Luff. Erebus is based themselves out of Norwell Motorplex, which is Paul Morris's facility. Of course, they've got ties, with Anton De Pasquale and the co-drivers for Bathurst. And Team 18, they're going out of the Ross Stone Workshop. So a little bit of history there. Techno, they've moved out of their Team Sydney premises. They're going back home. So that was a long move to Sydney. Brad Jones Racing, they're fine to stay home where they are currently because they're in country New South Wales. They're right on the Victorian border though, and at the moment Victoria's in a bit of trouble. So we'll see what happens there. But it's good that they're keeping the show on the road. It's a big ask for the teams, but this year's not been quite normal. I did read a report that Tim Edwards from Tickford had said that they expect their food bill for the 5 to 6 weeks on the road to be in around $50,000. I thought, well, shit, that's a big chunk of money on food, and when you break it down, say we'll do round figures, say 5 weeks, that's $10,000 a week, and the 26 crew they're allowed because they've got 2 crews of 13, and I think that actually includes the drivers. So you kind of you do the maths. It works out to be a hell of a lot per person. So not sure what they're eating, but anyway. Other news: Wakefield Park, they've put their hand up and said if we can get FIA certification, we'd like to host a round. Currently, at the moment, the Supercars is an FIA sanctioned series, so the tracks have to be FIA certified. That's the mob in France that runs the Formula One World Championship and stuff. So you have to be a Grade 3 track to host Supercars. So essentially, I think in Australia, obviously Albert Park's a Grade 1, which is Formula One specification, and then I think Grade 2s can run like motorbikes and the LMP cars and things like that. The Bend is Grade 2. I think Bathurst might be Grade 2 as well, and then everything else can be, actually Phillip Island and Eastern Creek would be Grade 2s, I think, because of the MotoGP. And then your normal kind of tracks, so your Grade 3. Apparently, it's pretty easy process for them to get the Grade 3, other than the fact that someone has to come out and inspect it. That might be a bit of a problem at the moment. On to the racing for the weekend. I'll start off the combined Super 2, Super 3 field. That was great to watch. It was great to see a nice big field there. There was some good racing. It was surprising how high up some of the Super 3 guys were compared to some of the Super 2 guys. Maybe some of them should be questioning their life choices. But it is good to get that kind of, to actually see how good some of these younger guys. I mean, you see on the result sheets, a guy wins Super 3 by 5 seconds or whatever. Doesn't kind of mean anything, or, he blazes away and it looks like, the competition's not that strong. But if, those top of Super 3 guys, if they can, get in the mix there with some of the Super 2 guys, it really bumps up their stocks, and it looks a lot better than them just, going and blazing, especially when the fields are so low at the moment. So I think that's a really good move, and it also means, like, I'll be honest, I've been quite slack at watching Super 3. We have time limitations and things like that. Can't watch everything. But it does mean that these guys are now getting out and getting TV in. There's a good chance that you're going to sit down and watch a Super 2 race compared to the Super 3 race. Now on to the main racing. We'll start with qualifying, and Mr. Scaife in the commentary booth, he was surprised that some guys were going out in their softs straight away in qualifying. I'll tell you what, Scaife, I think we've probably had about enough of you in the commentary booth, and I think it's starting to cause problems with Neil Crompton as well. I'll put my hand. I was a big Scaife fan while he was driving, but commentary, it's getting harder and harder. It was quite obvious you had guys like Macaulay Jones going out there on their softs. They got up the front of the grid, so there we are. We had another top 15 shootout. I had a good nap in the middle of it and missed a lot of it. The qualifying went on for... I didn't actually time it, but it felt like the whole process of qualifying between Session 1, Session 2, the top 15 shootout, it went longer than the whole race. It shouldn't be this way. If we're going to have 3 sections of qualifying, have the 3 sections of qualifying like you have you knockout 8 or whatever, knockout 8, and then 24 cars this year, so knockout 7, top 10 run. Don't need top 10 shootouts all the time. Or if you want to have a shootout, let's have a whole field shootout instead of going through the 10 minutes of piddle, the next 10 minutes of piddle, for where 15 out of 24, that's over half the field, get into the shootout. So I have a feeling I'm going to be ranting about this again after Darwin, because I think we're going to have it again. But it just felt like it's just such a long, drawn-out thing. What I did like about Saturday, though, was if you were a casual viewer of the sport, you could come in around dinner time. It's winter and whatever. We're in lockdown, so we can't do anything. You could do your whatever during the day. You come in and you watch your race. Hopefully no casual viewers were sat there for qualifying, because that might have turned them away from the sport. And we had an entertaining race as well. A little bit of different there with, everyone's on different tyre strategies. I was quite surprised on the Saturday night how kind of different everyone went. Scott McLaughlin actually ended up winning the race going on a hard and soft strategy, whereas the other guys that were kind of around him went soft. That doesn't sound good, guys, does it? Soft. Well, McLaughlin went hard and then went soft. Anyway, Triple Eight, I figured they were saving themselves for Sunday. They just never fired all weekend. The other notable one from Saturday was the James Courtney strategy of, I think he went 28 of the 32 laps on one set of hard tyres, and then right at the end bolted on a second set of hard tyres. That guy's just saved himself 4 sets of tyres for the 2 races tomorrow while everyone else is burnt up. 2 sets of tyres essentially on the Saturday night. It nearly worked for him on the Sunday. He nearly got a podium. Not bad considering he was supposed to be in one of those Team Sydney Rockets this year. So to nearly be on the podium at this point, Lee Holdsworth nearly won a race, and it essentially took him all of last year to get used to being in a Tickford car. So, James Courtney on his second weekend, nearly on the podium. He by the end of the season, I mean, at the moment, Jack LeBrocq's the leading Tickford driver. So, really, the world's definitely turned upside down in 2020. The first race on Sunday saw everybody's favourite driver, Nick Percat, take another stunning victory. He was followed home by the DJR Team Penske crew, once again beating Fabian Coulthard. Granted, Fabian actually made second in this race. Exciting last lap, where McLaughlin came from virtually nowhere to steal that last spot on the podium. That was good. Race 3, though, if it wasn't for the fact that the top 4 kind of converged towards the end, I thought that was a little bit... you had a lot of guys kind of trundling around on knackered tyres, and I'd thought that Triple Eight were kind of saving everything for that last race, and then we were going to see them, go forth and do Triple Eight things and dominate. They were not really, Saturday night they were 4th and 5th, but Sunday just all day they were kind of not really anywhere. And I think one of them qualified in the 20s for each of the races. So, not sure what's going on, strategy wrong or, what. No real incidents to talk about over the weekend, so really it's just the tyres, and that's kind of all the commentators talked about all day. Did like the Sunday quick 10-minute quick fire 10-minute qualifying sessions. After the mess that we had of qualifying on the Saturday, that was a lot better, and I really like this kind of condensed format for the weekend. Even with the Super 2 there, it was quite good to watch on TV because it's kind of bang, bang, bang of stuff that I want to watch. Not saying that Toyota 86s, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. But for me, that's, a big fast-forwarding part, or that's like, I'll go and, I'll mow the lawns or something while this is happening. Although in Victoria, I'm not sure if you're allowed to do the garden, because you're not allowed to go out unless you're working. Let's not get into the COVID restrictions, because next thing someone will be saying, I'm not wearing a mask, and, I'm outside in the shed and I should have a mask. Anyway, one other thing I'd like to note, Heimgartner got a pole, Todd Hazelwood got his first podium, Jack LeBrocq got his first win. So, as much as we're going to complain about this tyre strategy, and you've got to pay attention to follow kind of what's going on and who's got what tyres. I thought they did a reasonable job on the telecast. Once, it's hard, Scaife talking all day. But it did mix it up. We did see different people up front. It wasn't just a Triple Eight versus McLaughlin fest. I suppose even Fabian Coulthard got a podium. So, share it around a bit. So the championship, and for all of the bagging of what Triple Eight have been doing, of course, Scott McLaughlin's leading the championship on 802 points. Jamie Whincup's actually second, only 107 behind. Believe it or not, Chas Mostert, Mr. Walkinshaw Andretti, this is a bad move, rah, 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 everyone was saying last year. He's in third, just ahead of his best friend Cam Waters, and everyone's favourite star driver, Nick Percat, is in fifth. So then you start, it's hard, and we don't know how many rounds there are going to be this year, and we don't know what's going to happen, etc., etc. But, kind of once you start getting away from those, like you Reynolds and Van Gisbergen, they're starting to nearly get that whole round or a whole weekend worth of points away from being in the championship. So, it's looking good for McLaughlin, really. And then he'll probably race here next year while he does a bit of IndyCar stuff. So he'll probably be a 4-time champion before he leaves these shores. So that's my Sydney Motorsport Park, the second review. How many more rounds we have here this year, who knows? Chances are we're probably going to get one at Queensland Raceway at some point. So it's just one of those years. Let me know what you think about the tyre rules. Did you enjoy them? If it was up to me, I preferred the first time out, all being on soft. I found that with so many hards and softs and everyone over the 3 races, it was a little bit harder to follow. Maybe, just maybe, you might go and they have one set of softs. So, it's not this kind of, question marks all the time. Maybe we go, they got 3 races on the weekend, you get one set of softs. Maybe even say you can't use them in qualifying. So at some point you bolt them on for a race and you go for it. That spices it up a bit without so much talk. It's quite simple. Scott McLaughlin used his softs in race 1. Done and dusted kind of thing. That might be the solution. If you've got any ideas, let me know what you think. Comments down there. Email supercarstalk@gmail.com. Like and subscribe. There's a bell and stuff kind of around about there on the screen, I think it is. I'm probably pointing in the wrong direction. But anyway, apparently those likes and subscribe and things like that are good for the channel. Logarithms or something, and gets it, kind of up the front. And then, we get a bit more of a community going here. yeah, so do all those things, and I'll catch you later.